What's going on, guys? Week 4 of meet prep. Hit a huge all-time squat PR and sleeves this week. That'll be coming up shortly, so pretty stoked on that. Also hit an all-time block pull as well. So, everything's moving according to plan. Pretty happy with the way things are going. I'll be going into wraps and pulling from the floor next week, so it'll kind of be like a deload week using lighterish weight. I know deload is not a popular word these days because apparently if you deload, you're not really strong. But I like to think that a deload, if planned right and done the right way, can actually bring a lot of benefits for sure. For me, I like to do things on my deload and practice things and try things out as far as diet and water manipulation, so I can kind of see exactly where I'll be at on the meet week when I'm trying to cut weight and if I need to cut weight. And that kind of brings me up to the subject we want to talk about today is a little bit of nutrition. Doesn't really get talked about too much when it comes to powerlifting. A lot of people just say eat a bunch of calories and move a bunch of weight, and I tend to agree with them for the most part, but when it comes to kind of that dialing in that last 5% of trying to be the best you can be, definitely nutrition will play a huge role. The timing of nutrients, how you're running things, all that plays a big pivotal role in recovery, making sure your weight stays in check for the most part. I see a lot of times people will be about 7 to 8 weeks out from a meet and decide that they want to or they need to diet down to make their weight class, and what they'll do is they'll diet 10 to 15 pounds and then they'll do another additional 10 to 15 pound water cut, and you're looking at 20 to 30 pounds of actual weight dropped over an 8-week span, and then they go out and perform very poorly due to, I guess, either bad rehydration, refill day, or just overall you just can't really lose that much weight and expect to perform at a high level. I like to do it with my clients that I do nutrition for, and for myself, I like to kind of be at the weight I'm going to compete at throughout the whole training cycle. Meaning, if I am going to weigh in at 242, but I know I'll be able to recomp to 255, my training weight will be 255 pretty much 100% of the time. And that's what I'll try to do, and a 13-pound weight cut is really not a big deal for the 242-pound weight class. I've done 22-pound weight cuts before and performed relatively well compared to how the training was going. But to me, that's the best option you can go about, is to train at the weight you're going to be at for your competition time. So if you're not very good at cutting weight and you just don't want to push it, I would definitely try, before you get to 8 weeks out, try to be at the weight you want to be at. And you can do that a couple different ways. Typically I like to do more of a cut after a meet during a hypertrophy phase. That way you're able to maintain a lot of muscle mass, a lot of lean tissue, and you're going to be doing hypertrophy, so that's going to help with that. And then as the meet prep goes on, I'll like to do rotational type stuff where I'll try to put on weight going into the meet. So I try to be pretty much under the weight I want to be at, and that way I can eat into the meet and then do the last week of the cut. So I'll diet down for this last meet. I didn't have to diet for this last meet. I weighed in at 238 eating into the meet, so I decided to go the opposite route of what I normally do, and that is to put on weight during my hypertrophy block, which is another good way to do things if you're lighter or leaner. I was not the leanest. I'll never be the leanest, that's for sure, but I was lighter, so I wanted to go up a weight class. So I got up to about 260 for pretty much all of my off season, and then slowly dieted down to about 250 sitting at 8 weeks out. And from there, I'll maintain this weight and slowly up the calories to get to about 255, so I'm able to up the calories going into the meet during my heaviest and hardest training times. And I feel like that's done me well so far, and I feel really good, really strong. I feel like if you do everything right and you start the reverse diet, you'll be able to increase the calories, lean out a little bit, and eventually the weight will come. But even if it doesn't, as long as you're increasing the calories, you're gonna have a higher expenditure to perform better on the heavier days, because you really don't need too many calories, too many carbohydrates as the volume starts to decrease. So just something nutrition wise to think about, guys, going into your next meet prep. I hope you enjoy that. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. I'll catch you guys next time.